live from the United States. We now hear from the Mayor and the Secretary of Transportation of Washington, D.C. There are some important details I would like to share with all of you. If you live in the Washington area, you are likely aware that last night the skies were completely clear. The helicopter involved in the incident was flying in a standard and regulated flight pattern, an entirely normal flight. Similarly, the American Airlines plane was also following a normal flight path as it prepared to land at the airport. It is important to emphasize that it is not uncommon for a commercial aircraft approaching an airport for landing to be sharing airspace with a military aircraft flying at the same time. This is a frequent occurrence in this region. As previously mentioned, we have now located both aircraft involved in the accident. The fuselage of the American Airlines plane was found upside down and broken into 3 separate sections. The wreckage is currently submerged in deep waters, making recovery efforts more challenging. However, operations to retrieve the fuselage are set to begin later today. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, will be leading the investigation in cooperation with the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. We want to reaffirm our commitment to air safety. Every individual who boards a plane in the United States trusts that they will arrive at their destination safely. That expectation was tragically broken last night. I want to assure you that President Donald Trump and his administration, alongside the Federal Aviation Administration, will not rest until we have concrete answers for the families of the victims and for the public. Our top priority is to ensure that our airspace remains safe. Rest assured that we will take every necessary measure to uphold the safety of air travel in this country. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now we hear from additional authorities. I am the Chief of the District of Columbia. At 8:48 p.m. last night, our emergency dispatch center received an urgent call reporting a possible plane crash. This triggered an immediate and large-scale emergency response from the District of Columbia's emergency teams. The situation escalated rapidly as first responders arrived at the scene. The magnitude of the incident became clear in just a matter of minutes. Emergency personnel quickly identified that a major aircraft accident had taken place, prompting reinforcements to be dispatched without delay. The first responders faced extremely frigid waters upon arrival, as temperatures were near freezing. The conditions were incredibly harsh, making rescue operations extraordinarily difficult. I would like to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to all the emergency responders who courageously participated in the rescue efforts. Teams from multiple Washington area fire departments, as well as emergency crews from across the District of Columbia and beyond, worked tirelessly throughout the night. In total, dozens of emergency and firefighting teams were deployed to the crash site. Alongside them, military authorities and specialized units assisted in the search and rescue mission. The U.S. Coast Guard, in collaboration with law enforcement, played a crucial role in the efforts. Unfortunately, despite the extensive rescue attempts, we must now acknowledge a heartbreaking reality. We are officially transitioning from a rescue operation to a recovery mission. At this point, we have successfully recovered 27 individuals from the airplane and 1 from the helicopter. The medical examiner's team is currently working to identify the victims and ensure that all remains are recovered and returned to their families. A specialized U.S. Army team has also been deployed to assist in this mission. It is of utmost importance that every victim is identified and accounted for. Our hearts go out to all the crew members, passengers, and families affected by this devastating tragedy. Now, we will hear from the CEO of American Airlines. CEO of American Airlines. Good evening, everyone. I'm speaking today on behalf of American Airlines. I want to begin by expressing my deepest sympathies for everyone affected by this horrific tragedy. We are absolutely devastated by what happened. Our hearts are broken for the passengers and crew members who were aboard the flight, as well as for those on the military helicopter involved in the collision. At this moment, our top priority is to provide support to the families and loved ones of the victims. We are fully committed to doing everything in our power to assist those affected by this tragedy, including working closely with investigators to determine exactly what happened. This is a profoundly difficult and painful time for all of us at American Airlines. We are grieving alongside the families and communities impacted by this devastating event. We have activated a dedicated emergency response team, and we urge all families and friends of those aboard the flight to reach out to our emergency hotline, which has been set up to provide real-time assistance and updates. Now let me provide a few key details about the accident. American Airlines Flight 5342, operated by PSA Airlines, was en route from Wichita, Kansas, when it was involved in an accident shortly before 9:01 p.m. local time while making its final approach to Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. The aircraft collided with a military helicopter during what was supposed to be a routine landing. At this time, there are no indications that any other aircraft were involved in the crash or that any additional external interference played a role in the incident. The flight had a total of 64 people on board, 60 passengers, and 4 crew members. American Airlines has mobilized a team of experts and crisis response specialists to handle this incident. These teams are currently en route to Washington, while others are already on site, actively working with authorities. We continue to monitor the ongoing developments regarding this tragedy. As mentioned earlier by the District of Columbia Police Chief, this is no longer a rescue operation, but instead a recovery mission. Authorities have now ruled out the possibility of finding any more survivors, and the operation has shifted its focus to retrieving the remains of the victims. According to official reports, a total of 67 people lost their lives in this catastrophic accident. 64 individuals from the American Airlines plane, 3 individuals from the military helicopter. This tragic event is now being recognized as one of the most devastating air disasters in recent U.S. history. Authorities have promised to conduct a full and thorough investigation to determine the cause of the crash and prevent such a tragedy from occurring again. We will continue to provide updates as more information becomes available. This devastating accident has left a deep impact on the nation. As recovery efforts continue, the thoughts and prayers of an entire country remain with the families and loved ones of the victims. We will stay on top of this developing story and bring you the latest updates as they unfold.